Hey there, hope you're having a fantastic day in your neck of the woods. Thank you so kindly for joining us once again, folks, as we continue to talk about this all-new upcoming edition of Resident Evil 3. And I have an exclusive here for you today. I put this one together myself, and I think I'm pretty freaking proud of what we have accomplished here today. So, folks, as you know, PlayStation 5 is right around the corner. It's officially coming holiday 2020, just like the Xbox Scarlet. So PS5 is officially coming. Now, you might be sitting there and thinking to yourself, well, Michael, how does this play into Resident Evil? Well, if you'll give me a moment, if you'll bear with me, we'll get into that in just a second. But let's go back. May 2019. Capcom had a financial presentation and they kind of laid out the groundwork for what's to come. And they basically said, like, look, we don't have anything necessarily in the pipeline that's coming before March 2020, as you can see from that tweet right there. So, you know, you might be sitting there and thinking, well, this was obviously made before the unveil of Project Resistance. But as of this recording, Project Resistance doesn't have even a release window. So if I had to guess when Project Resistance is coming, definitely sometime after March 2020. Now, we go back to the PS5 announcement, and this actually does confirm a lot, folks, because here's the reality of the situation. We now know kind of Capcom's roadmap. We know what they're releasing and what they're not releasing. And 2020 seems like kind of a barren wasteland for Capcom, as seemingly Capcom is preparing for next generation hardware. And now that we have the official word that next generation hardware is right around the corner, I honestly think it's very safe to assume that this all new upcoming edition of Resident Evil 3 and Resident Evil 8 are going to be on next generation hardware. Okay? Now, you might think, well, gee, Michael, that was so obvious. But here's the reality of the situation. Is it going to be exclusive on that next generation hardware? Is Resident Evil 8 going to be exclusive on that next generation hardware? Is this all new upcoming edition or Resident Evil 3 going to be exclusive on that next generation hardware? Obviously, that remains to be seen. But if Resident Evil 8 does come out before this all new upcoming edition or Resident Evil 3, then I honestly could see that being the last cross-generation Resident Evil title, meaning it would be on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Scarlet. And again, if this all-new upcoming edition of Resident Evil 3 happens after Resident Evil 8, maybe a year or so after Resident Evil 8, that could very well be our first glimpse into the future of Resident Evil, as it could very well be exclusive to PS5, Xbox Scarlet, that next generation hardware. But again, we go back to Capcom's roadmap here. Nothing is coming anytime soon, as stated right there in their financial presentation. That means that Project Resistance, and yes, I know it wasn't developed by Capcom, but it's still under their umbrella. That means that Project Resistance isn't coming out before March 2020. And Resident Evil 8, this all new upcoming edition of Resident Evil 3, honestly, a tease at E3 would make a lot of sense. They could tease it at E3 2020 with then a release in 2021 for potentially Resident Evil 8 or this all new upcoming edition of Resident Evil 3. But again, next generation hardware is right around the corner, and with that said, Resident Evil 8, this all new upcoming edition of Resident Evil 3, likely to be on that next generation hardware. Thank you so kindly for joining me here today. Please stay tuned, as I will break in once we have more word here on this all new upcoming edition of Resident Evil 3. See ya.